Hey, it's me, Jerry, and I'm doing this November 21st. This is my November monthly moment, and I believe I'll have it in your inbox before Thanksgiving. And if so, happy Thanksgiving. But if not, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, got to enjoy your family, your friends, and spend some good time together, eat some good food, and just enjoy each other's company and remember what we're all thankful for. But I'm doing this in front of the news because I think it's appropriate. There's been a lot of news lately, and I just want to refer back to my video from last month and talk about that, what's gone on recently, some things we did, again, as usual. And then kind of some expectations. And last month, if you remember, if you watched this, I said that we're probably going to have some volatility, potentially a downturn. And it was based on earnings reports, primarily. There's a lot of things, but prices on some stocks, especially tech stocks, especially AI stocks, were deemed a little bit expensive. Things were a little overpriced probably. And I said that the earnings reports that were going to come out needed to be stellar to keep the market where it was. And if not, there was a potential of a downturn. And it ends up there were some mixed reports. So we saw some volatility, we saw some downturns. Of course, there was some other things going on. There's always breaking news. And then NVIDIA, one of the biggest, most recognized company, reported their earnings and knocked it out of the park. They were great earnings. And in addition to that, great expectations for the next quarter. Those were reported after the market closed, and we saw the markets go up in after hours and then opened up nicely. Then, of course, right behind it, the next piece of breaking news was jobs and unemployment. And I'll call it mixed. New jobs were good, but unemployment overall wasn't great. But government jobs were down. But there was just a lot in there. But ultimately, it wasn't what we would have liked to have seen. It was kind of what was expected. But the reality of it all was that because of that news and some other news, it lessened the likelihood that the Fed Reserve Chair would lower the rates again in the next Fed meeting. And because of that, we saw another downturn. Now today, it ends up, there were some reports and the Fed actually spoke, and it looks like he'll probably lower rates. So the markets had a good day today. So it's up, down, it's up, down, it's up, down. But ultimately, we're going through a period of time where we expected the volatility. We did anticipate the potential of a downturn. We did have that. We expected it, or we anticipated the potential of a bigger downturn, which we haven't had yet. Tomorrow could be different. But things kind of went the way we thought. I mentioned we had a little cash on the side just in case there was an opportunity there, and we're always ready to make moves. We did make a purchase yesterday in some of the portfolios. It was a holding that was down that we think has some long-term potential. So we actually bought into that yesterday at one of its low points for the year. So we took advantage of the downturn like we like to do. So overall, I think a little volatile. Obviously, we would love to see it just go straight up all the time, but that's not the world we live in. And this thing behind me, this TV with the news, we got a 4-imprint commercial on now, which isn't news, but you get the picture. It's out there and everything is dramatic and everything makes it look worse than it is or better than it is. But ultimately, it does move the markets, and we were expecting some of that. And we're always looking at the underlying numbers, the economics of it all, not just what's reported. If I left this thing on for a little while, you'll hear 3 people say things are going to be great. The next 3 people will say they're going to be horrible. Nobody says, I don't know. Most of them don't. But we think we have a pretty good idea of what things look like moving forward, and the expectations are reasonable. So moving forward now, we're getting into an area where we will see whether or not rates come down soon. And if they don't, we'll probably see a little bit of a dip. If we do, I don't expect anything too dramatic. And then we'll get into holiday spending, which is a big thing. That's always big news. And if people spend money, then the market should support itself. If rates come down a little more like they are expected, then maybe we'll start seeing housing move a little bit more like I've talked about before. More sales equal more revenue for the country. And if rates come down enough, then I think rents will have to come down a little bit as well because housing will become more affordable. So renters or owners that are renting will have to lower their prices to remain competitive with the housing market if affordability in housing comes down, which means overall housing costs might come down a little bit and make people a bit more comfortable there moving forward. So there's a lot going on right now that we're watching and looking at, but ultimately we'll get through this quarter like we do all quarters. We'll get into next year. We'll see how things play out. We'll have a plan in place, and just know, like I always say, if your plan is right, if your plan is tight, just to be a little poet, you can get through these types of things because they are part of the plan. There will never be a straight up. There's typically never a straight down. every downturn is followed by an upturn so far in history. Maybe that won't be true one day, but ultimately we have a plan in place for all things. The portfolios are still doing extremely well. And again, we took a little advantage of the downturn we had and entered at a discount in something we liked. And we'll do that as much as possible. So again, happy Thanksgiving if it gets to you before then. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving if it didn't. We're into the holiday season. Enjoy families. Remember what's most important in life. And be safe, be healthy, be happy. And as always, reach out if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much.